so far.
I got 40 right. I got 40 right. Yeah, you better have all right. I do. What? I know that.
Oh.
I got 43 right. All right. Give me your attention here, please, so we can fix a couple of these lead pages. All right. Questions start with you that you're not sure why you missed it or anything. All right, Brent, what are you doing?
Look at your homepage.
Huh?
Look at your homepage.
Okay. All right. Connor, question?
Yeah, I'm not sure why I missed it, but I missed a lot.
You missed a lot. Did you miss 34?
34? I'm pretty sure. I got like 12. I got.
Did you get the answer that's up here?
No, I did not.
That means you missed it. Let's clear that up first of all. What does it mean to miss the problem? All right. What's the original problem then, Connor?
It was square root of 2, and then in parentheses, square root of 6 plus 2.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay. And some of you are closer than you think. Some of you are not closer than you think. You might be further than you think. But here's the answer. So it's kind of, one thing is you get a little bit better at math is when you see the answer, if you can figure out what you did wrong, you kind of get there. Okay? A lot of times you may be stuck until that point, but once you see the answer, like, okay, this is what I need to do. You got to take square root of 2 times square root of 6. You multiply the insides together, it gives you 12. That part, Connor, you weren't off there. You just didn't finish. You have a square root of 2 and just a 2. You cannot multiply those together because we say one's on the inside and one's on the outside. The only thing you can do there is write that as plus 2 square root of 2. One thing you have to do is also consider reducing every time. And that's probably the biggest thing now is you'll miss points is because you don't, after you do a step, you won't reduce. So this isn't too far from the answer, but it's not the answer given because you got to reduce 12, square root of 12, into 4 times 3, 2 times 2. We got a pair of 2's. And so we get 2 square root of 3 plus 2 square root of 2. Okay, and so if you had square root of 12 plus 2 square root of 2, that's not bad. It could be worse. Christian.
For like something like 48 and 50, we had like decimals.
You had a decimal?
But not a decimal. I meant like like K, no, like a K and a B.
A variable?
Yeah, variable. That's what I was looking for.
Those are your notes.
Anyway, so how I'm confused.
Spit it out.
Oh, yeah, all right. What's the original problem for 48? Let's do that.
48.
Yeah.
Square root of 48K over square root of 5.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay. The K doesn't really, the K has to be part of your answer, but it really doesn't, we don't have to do much with it at this point because it's just a K, but you can't just drop it and make it disappear. We're really concerned with the 5 on the bottom, the radical 5. We got to get rid of that. So what I'm looking to do is multiply by square root of 5 times square root of 5 on top and bottom. That gives us the 5 on the bottom. What is 48 times 5? 240. You still have to keep the K. Square root of 240K. So, all right, I'll give you half credit on that if you got that part. But the last part is, and this is where people are not finishing the problem, is you got to take everything and say, will it simplify again? So the K is just a K. If it was a K squared, we could do something with it. We just need to keep it. I need to do a factor tree on 240. 24 times 10, 8 times 3, 2 times 5, 4 times 2, 2 times 2. So what do I got a pair of? I got a pair of 2s, another pair of 2s. That's where we get the 4. And I'm left with a 3 times a 5 left inside there. So you got to just multiply anything back together there. Okay, for that. So 4 square root of 15K over 5 would be that final answer. So really, your number one concern is, all right, I got to get rid of that 5. Number one concern is how to get rid of that 5. All right, and some of these were a little bit excessive, a little bit harder. Real quick, let's just take a look at a couple of these together. Make sure, like these here, you got to know how to do. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a shortcut on a couple of them if you recognize this. So just write on your notes there, or write on your homework. 3 over radical 6. Tommy, you know what I would need to do here? What do you think?
Square root 3 of 15 as well.
Say that again?
Square root 3 of 15 as well.
We're looking at, are you saying square root of 15?
The square root of 3.
Oh, okay. Can't do square, well, what do we got to multiply by?
Oh, are you on 1?
Yes, we're on number 1.
Square root of 6 of 3.
We multiply both the top and bottom by square root of 6. I'll assume that's what you were telling me. Okay, square root of 6. Now, what does that give us on top, Jay Lee? No. Because this number is not underneath the square root.
Wouldn't this be 3 and then square root 6?
Yeah, tell Jay Lee that.
It's 3 square root 6.
There you go. Yeah, it's just 3 square root of 6. So we're getting that common mistake there. Square root of 6 times square root of 6 is square root of 36. But what's the square root of 36? 6. We've talked about that. Anytime that you multiply that, you're always going to get 6. Now this, I can go a step further. Because, Josh?
You can divide 6 by the 6 up top.
Not the 6 up top, but by the 3. And what's 3 over 6 become?
1 over 2.
Good. You know what? I don't necessarily need to write the 1 in front, but that answer would be square root of 6 over 2.
How many points would we get if we wrote the first thing?
Like half. Like half. How to get to 2? Okay. This right here. That's 3/6. I reduced it to 1/2. I just didn't put the 1 out in front of here because I didn't have to. Okay. All right, a little cheat here for the number 2. When you first look at it, you can multiply by square root of 14 over square root of 14. Okay, but that's going to be a little bit the long way. So here's how I'm going to help you cheat a little bit. If they are both underneath the radical, and they have something in common, you could reduce them. So that's a square root of 10 and that's a square root of 14. They're both divisible by what? 2. So what you can do is you can make this square root of 5 over square root of 7. Okay, so you can do that. Now, I can get rid of these. Now I have to do this. All right, Jaylee, I'm coming back to you here. What am I going to get on top now? Oh, don't cheat with Josh. Don't let him do your work.
He doesn't know.
35.
Square root of 35. You do multiply them together. Square root of 35 over 7. So if you do the square root of 14 on top of bottom, you can eventually get there. It'll be a little bit more complicated. All right, so look at number 3. Same idea. The 15 and the 3, can those be reduced? Yeah, by what? 3. So that's square root of 5 over 4 square root of 1. Please tell me what the square root of 1 is. It's just the number 1. So this becomes square root of 5 over 4, and you're done. Okay, square root of 5 over 40, we're done. Okay. So it's a little bit of a cheat there. If you know how to do that, you can make things a little bit easier on yourself. You can still do it the long way. Preston.
I don't think number 2's right.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I was confused about that.
Number 2 is correct.
What did I do wrong?
I think you need, it's 2.
Number 2 is
Correct.
Where are you getting the 2 from?
I don't know. I think that's
All right, here's what I did.
Confused as to how you got 5 and 7.
10 and 14 are both divisible by 2, and they become 5 and 7.
What?
Multiply both of them by square root of 7. 5 times 7 is 35. That just gives you a 7. I'm not sure where you're getting the 2 from.
So the equation, the original equation is equal to your answer, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Okay. Well, all right. Square root of 10 divided by square root of 14 will equal that decimal. Okay. Square root of 35 divided by 7.
I don't know what's going on.
Oh, yeah. But it's right. It's right. I know I'm wrong often, but this is one time I'm right. All right, I got a note here for you.
That was.
All right. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's short. Why did it raise 5?
It would be
16.
I'll give
It's okay.
But I just remember it so vividly, like sitting in the hallway doing posters. I like that. You're like, baseball.
Write your name without your name.
Dude, I don't know how I remember it. So
She was just a long icon. It was an icon.
Yeah.
Good job.
What the heck, man? Yeah. We need time to do this.
Yeah, for one.
Hold up. Hey, yo.
Hey, you got your break.
I do not have one. What would be the answer for 45?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You multiply both top and bottom of square root of 2.
Is that what I do? Basically all?
Yeah, you gotta get rid of the radical on the bottom.
Okay.
Hey, all right, listen up. I need your attention here. That means quit talking. All right, section 11.9. This is the last one we're going to cover. Test is over. Easy there. 11.6 to 11.9. Let's not be goofballs. Hand that person. There it is. It wasn't me. All right, who's missing their? Look at the names.
Here's the next.
Hey, I will literally shut up. Hey, Jordan. I do what? Oh yeah, I threw it like this. With my left hand.
Okay, radical equation, Christian. Now we're going to throw an equal sign in here. And actually, these aren't bad. These aren't bad. We're only gonna do ones that contain square roots. You can get into more complicated things later, but like square root of x equals 5, we're still trying to figure out what makes the equation true. So we're gonna run, you're gonna use this property here. Is that if you square, or you take both sides of an equation to a power, it still has to be equal. But you gotta check your answers at the end. Okay, so 3 equals 1 plus 2. If you square both sides, you still get an equal case. That's gonna be the key to solving these. So we get the square root of x equals 5. Okay, Jordan?
X is 25.
X is 25. Now, so you might be able to just look at that and figure it out. All right, mathematically though, I want you to be able to do this for ones that aren't as easy. So here's what you do, is to get rid of the square root. You take square root of x squared equals 5 squared. Well, what's the square root of x? Squared. That just basically the squared undoes the radical and leaves you x. And what's 5 times 5? 25. So Jordan said he knows the square root of 25 is 5, but that's kind of how you get it mathematically. Now, if you know that, that's fine. You got to show me your work on your other ones here. So,
And like, what do we say when we're solving equations? We always do the opposite operation. If we have addition, we do subtraction. If we have division, we do multiplication. Well, here, the opposite of finding the square root is squaring it, okay?
so that'll kind of undo what the radical does. All right. Now, again, some of these you might be able to think, all right, I think I can figure it out, but it's going to be easier here. Zach?
X would be 50.
X will be 50. Now, how can I go about the process, though?
I squared both 10 and 2x squared for 2x.
Okay, hold that right there. So you got 10 equals square root of 2x. Go ahead, square both sides. 10 squared is 100. And like the squared undoes the radical, that gives you square root of 2x. Now, let me at least just tell you what's going on here. Because when you square that, that means you're taking the square root of 2x times the square root of 2x. You don't ever have to write this down, but this is what's going on. That gives you the square root of 4x squared. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of x squared is 2x. So in the end, it's going to give us that same thing. All right, 2x equals 100. We're going back to our solve an equation ways. 50 equals x. Divided by 2. And you can check it. 2 times 50 is 100. Square root of 100 gives me 10. Square root of 100 gives me 10. All right, square root of negative 4x equals 6. Christian, what do I need to do?
X equals, oh wait, do you want me to tell
Yep.
you how to do it?
Yep.
Square everything.
Okay, when I square everything, what does that give me?
Minus 4x equals 36.
Okay, that's good. Negative 4x equals 36. And divide by negative 4. And then 36 divided by negative 4 is going to give me negative 9. So you can't get a negative number because we're taking a negative 4 times a negative 9, which gives me a positive 36. All right, these are all pretty straightforward here. You got a square root equals a number. On this next set, you don't necessarily have the square root isolated. Before you square both sides, you want to get that isolated. So it kind of tells us what we're going to need to do. I want to get that square root of x by itself. So Christian, what do I need to do?
Plus 4 on each side.
Add 4 on each side. Do not square anything. Bless you.
Plus you.
So you add 4, and so I get square root of x equals 9. Now, square root of x squared equals 9 squared. X equals 81. X equals 81. So that would be the case then.
Oh,
Oh, we're racing over there. Trying to get ahead of it. Okay. Part B there. Again, we got this same case here. Now, I got more than one thing in the square root. That's okay. We still want to get that by itself, which would be this whole thing. So that means I need to move that 6, subtract that 6. And so I get square root of 5x plus 1.
Wait, why do we have,
What are you confused about that?
why do we have to keep the 1 on that side?
Because it is underneath the radical. Okay? You see how that radical goes all the way above the 1?
Yeah.
We are taking the square root of 5x plus 1, not just the 5x. Okay? There can be more than one thing underneath the radical. Once you get the radical by itself, and just the radical, now you square both sides. Okay? Now you square both sides. That just leaves you 5x plus 1 equals 4 squared, which is 16. And now we're solving an equation. All right. Kyle, you remember what to do from here?
You subtract the 1.
There you go. Subtract 1.
Would it end up the same if we didn't do that at the start?
I doubt it. I have to see what you're talking about. Divide by 5. I get x equals 3. Okay, x equals 3.
So if we were to add 1 and 6 at the start of
Oh, yeah, no, that's not gonna give you the same thing. Nope, I know what you're saying now. Nope, that won't. That 1 has to stay underneath the square root. All right, kind of same thing here. What is underneath the square root? And if this helps you, like just to separate it, like you can put it in parentheses, that plus 9 is not underneath that radical. Is it obvious on your paper?
Yeah.
Okay, so now move the 9. Subtract 9. All right, once you get that, square both sides. Now here's what you gotta watch. On that left-hand side, -2 squared, you gotta put that in parentheses, and I get 4 equals 2x plus 3. Positive 4. Subtract 3. Subtract 3. I get 1 equals 2x. Divide by the 2. And I get x equals 1/2. All right, now here's something that happens every now and then when you square something. And this is why it's important to check your answer. Sometimes it doesn't always work. It adds an answer that doesn't make the original equation true. Plug this in. And we can just do this together. What's 2 times 1/2? 1. What's 1 plus 3? 4. So that gives me the square root of 4 plus 9. What's the square root of 4?
2.
And what's 2 plus 9?
10.
What's it say it equals over here?
7.
7.
My brain is so
7 is not the same. So what does that mean? Is 1/2 work? No, 1/2 doesn't work. So you have to check your answer. So this one here has no solution because that answer doesn't work. So every now and then you got it, or every now and then that case will happen. You've got to at least test it. All the other ones it worked. Okay, all the other ones it worked. All right, now, for A here, 2 square root of x over 22, is the square root by itself? Is it totally isolated? No, we got this 2 in front. What is the 2 doing to the square root? It is multiplying. What's the opposite of multiplying? Divide. So I divide by 2. You get square root of x equals 11. Now, square both sides. And I get x equals 121. So if you got something that's not underneath the radical, we got to get it over to the other side one way, either by adding, subtracting, or dividing. In this last case here, we got a couple options. I want to get the radical by itself. How can I get rid of that 5? Multiply by 5. So go here, and I'm going to multiply the left by 5 and multiply the right by 5. Those cancel. 2 square root of x equals 4 times 5, which is 20. I still don't have the radical by itself, so what do I need to do with that 2?
Divide by 2.
Divide. I get square root of x equals 10. Now, square both sides.
Ooh, we do square, we know the answer.
Yeah. Now, there is a way you could have done it in one step. A few people see it. Most people have to go through the 2 steps. You could have multiplied by 5 over 2. If you see that and you want to do that, that's fine. But otherwise, you got to go 2 steps. I want to save those other 2 for tomorrow. I want to give you some time in class here. So page 826. And I'm going to change that a little bit, I think. I got to take a couple problems out. I get 41 through 51 odd. You can give it. Yeah.
Because I forgot to take
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so now.
Yeah, what's your background? Here's mine.
Let me get. Be real. That's my inspiration.